ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणद्वैता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते। सप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय राधानाथ स्वामी नामिने। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने। गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष निवाली पाश्चात्य कम कृति वाचालम पंगुम लंघयते गिरिम यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवम। हरि ओम। हरे कृष्ण। So again we have this opportunity on the auspicious Ekadashi day because Hari Katha. So we are at the concluding chapter of the beautiful pastime of Sri Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Narasimha. This is chapter 10. Chapter 10 is entitled The Exalted Qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. More specifically, this pastime, this particular chapter has two parts to it. One is the part where the prayers of Prahlad to Narasimhadev conclude and the benedictions that Narasimhadev offers to Sri Prahlad Maharaj. So that's a very interesting and instruction filled section of this particular chapter. Apart from that, uh, the last part of this chapter is a different but unrelated pastime. That is the pastime of Lord Shiva and Lord Hari, especially the pastime where Lord Shiva became famous as Tripurari, the destroyer of the three cities. So that's an interesting pastime. Of course, how that pastime comes into place in this chapter, of course, we will discuss that. It's not directly related to Prahlad Narasimha pastime, but this topic pops up, and Yudhishthir Maharaj asked this question to Narad Muni to explain about that particular pastime. And uh, I think around 10-15 verses towards the end of this chapter are dedicated to the glorification of Lord Shiva as Tripurari. So we want to continue our journey of the beautiful exchange between Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Narasimha. We discussed in chapter 9 how Prahlad Maharaj offers very beautiful prayers to Lord Narasimha. Lord Narasimha, who was overcome with rage, or at least appeared to be so. The Lord overcome literally, but he seemed to be in a state where nobody could pacify him. And it was Prahlad, on the request of Brahmaji, who approaches Narasimhadev, falls at his feet, and just by seeing Prahlad, whom the Lord considers as his affectionate child, the Lord is so pleased, he becomes immediately pacified. There's a very wonderful exchange, uh, primarily of Prahlad offering beautiful prayers, prayers of humility, prayers expressing how insignificant and conditioned he is, prayers expressing the greatness of the Lord, and finally prayers asking, seeking the Lord's grace, that he may not be trapped by the material energy. And in these prayers, Prahlad Maharaj also expresses his heart, Lord Narasimha, that there are so many saintly people who are taking care of their own spiritual life. But for myself, I have a different thought process. I am so concerned about the spiritual welfare of all these lost souls in this material world, which is 99.999% of the population, that I want to offer myself completely in service of all these people just to revive their Krishna consciousness. And Lord Narasimhadev is so pleased with this particular attitude of Prahlad. Because generally, even among those who are spiritualists, 99.99% are interested in, let me not get entangled in this world, let me deliver myself. But here Prahlad is saying, I'm okay. I'm always absorbed in thinking of you, my Lord. I will not be trapped by Maya. I'm not even afraid of the material energy or what I will have to go through. But my greatest pain is to see the suffering of these forgetful living entities who hope against hope are trying to find lasting happiness in the continuously uh, disturbed ocean of material existence. And we discussed about that, and we discussed how this kind of a consciousness is actually very exemplary of very highly purified souls who display such high levels of compassion. And we see this in the personality of all great preachers. And we see this in the personality of Srila Prabhupada, who went to the West at so much personal inconvenience. We see this in the character, of course, of Lord Chaitanya himself, even though he's the Supreme Lord. He left his very, very dear mother and his very devoted, chaste wife, took sannyas, suffered the pangs of separation from his very, very near and dear associates, and took up a very austere life of sannyas just to deliver living entities. So just like the Lord himself is so compassionate and displays this kind of a wonderful character, the Lord himself is also very, very attracted when a devotee displays this kind of a compassionate character. And the Lord extends very special spiritual protection for such devotees who undertake such dangers in their service in order to please the Lord. The Lord takes notice that the devotee is exposing himself to undue danger. So I was once, it's a side story, but I was once discussing with His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, and I was explaining to him that, oh, I'm going through these challenges and difficulties, and this is all my karma that I have to suffer like this. And he made a very interesting point. He said, no, Prabhu, it is you're not suffering like this because of your karma. But what do you mean? That's our philosophy, isn't it? That I am suffering because of my karma. He said, well, generally that is true. He said he believes that in my case it is not like that. And I said, why? He said, because when those who are preachers, they go out of their way to intervene in the lives uh, of others to help them to become Krishna conscious. that is something which is not a part of the karma, but that is a part of an attempt to serve out of compassion. That can also produce uh, adverse circumstances and situations for the preacher. And those kind of inconveniences and dangers which a preacher is exposed to because of his going out of the way to preach, they aren't actually necessarily karmic reactions, but they are something which uh, the preachers expose themselves to as a part of their attempt to extend and their attempt to intervene. So I thought that was a very interesting perspective that Maharaj shared with me, and I kind of thought, yeah, that's a very interesting way to look at it. So, uh, and that is why that kind of a service is very dear to the Lord, because inconveniences and sufferings that could easily be avoided by a devotee, they voluntarily endure it because they go out of the way. Because especially when you go out of the way to intervene in the lives of others, it creates some disruptions for yourself. But that's the price. And a devotee happily accepts it. And that is why he becomes very, very dear to the Supreme Personality of God. So Prahlad Maharaj is displaying that character in a super excellent way. And Lord Narasimha is very, very pleased. And Lord Narasimha, at the conclusion of the chapter, he is so pleased with Prahlad Maharaj. He says that, I am the giver of benedictions. I am so happy. Please accept from me. Ask, what is it that you want? I want to give you some benediction. So usually we are eager to ask the Lord. Here the Lord is eager to give Prahlad. And this chapter begins with the reflection of Prahlad when Narasimhadev requests him to accept benediction. Narad Muni notes, and Narad Muni is narrating this to Yudhishthir Maharaj, says that even though Prahlad was a small boy, 5-ish years old, when Narasimhadev offered any benedictions to Prahlad, rather than getting excited, normally we'll get excited with something, oh, what should I ask? What should I ask? What should I ask? Let me ask something which is so all encompassing that within one benediction, all my desires will be fulfilled. Maybe some of us may have privately already prepared the wordings, then Lord will appear in front of me. This is what I will ask. One benediction, all encompassing. That is natural for most of us to, think like that. But Prahlad Maharaj wasn't thinking like that. He was thinking, what is the Lord asking? Asking for this kind of a benediction from the Lord of anything, actually an impediment for devotional service. How can I ask? So, very gently, Prahlad Maharaj responded to Lord Narasimhadev's almost order, ask. He smiled, mildly he smiled, and he said, oh Lord, I am born in an atheistic family, a demoniac family. By nature, I have been attached to materialistic pursuit. Why are you tempting me? Why are you putting me into this difficult situation? I mean, he's acting as if he's a conditioned soul who's being tempted. Not that he's attracted, but he's positioning. That is the heart of a pure devotee. Thinking himself as a very ordinary person. So, don't tempt me like this. I'm so afraid of material life. I'm so afraid of material conditions. I may ask, then again I will get entangled in material life. Because that's the nature of conditioned souls. The problem of conditioned souls is they don't know what to ask for. Sometimes we complain, right? As sadhakas, we complain. Oh, I asked this from the Lord, He didn't give me. I asked this from the Lord, He didn't give me. The Lord says, I'm willing to give all kinds of desires of my devotee. Say, no, my experience is different. Why? Because the Lord says, I do not fulfill those kind of desires of my devotees which will cause further bondage. So sincere sadhak also knows what to ask for. So Prahlad, acting as if he's a conditioned soul, I want to be liberated. I will ask for something. I will get trapped. I just want to take the shelter of your lotus feet. I am trapped because of lusty desires in my heart, which is the actual root cause of material existence. In everyone's heart, they are trapped in material nature. And I don't want. Oh Lord, you have sent me to this material world to display the ideal character of a pure devotee, to display the symptoms of a pure devotee. Why are you putting me into this situation that, I will mess up? You know what you have actually planned for me. And oh Lord, you are the teacher and the instructor of the whole world. You are so kind to your devotee. Surely, O Lord, you will not induce a devotee to ask and accept something which will put him into problem. And after all, my Lord, just think about it. If I were to simply ask something from you, and if I have that kind of a tendency, is that even proper to expect some material exchange in exchange for my devotional service? If I were to do something like this, then I'm no devotee at all. Wouldn't I just be Wouldn't this just be a commercial transaction between a purchaser and a merchant? Pay and take something in return. I do bhakti and I get something back in return. Oh, no, 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 my lord. Huh? That is not the kind of relationship that I want from you. Huh? A servant who serves his master for material profits, and a master who takes care of his servant only because the servant is serving him. Huh? A give and take relationship. Neither is the servant a pure servant, neither is the master a pure master. I am your unmotivated servant, my lord. I have no desire. And there is no need for you to do something in return for the service I am rendering. I am so satisfied by simply rendering service to you. The perfection of the self. It is not necessary for you to reciprocate and give me something. All I want is that our master servant relationship remains. I continue to serve you and you continue to accept my service. I don't need any salary, any reward in return. So this is very, very interesting consciousness. And this is a very difficult consciousness for devotees to develop. And this is the platform of pure devotion. Wanting nothing in return. And this concept is very difficult for anyone other than pure devotees to understand and appreciate. Why? Because the simple question is, if you don't want anything, why are you becoming devotee of God? So the heart of the pure devotee, the realization of the pure devotee, the insight of the pure devotee, which is supported by Shastras like Gita and Bhagavatam, is very simple. They are fully convinced and are experiencing that the highest perfection is to serve the Lord. There is no separate perfection to be expected as a consequence of the service. Service is its own reward, because in devotional service, especially pure devotional service, which is rendered without any material expectation, gross or subtle, is itself so satisfying to the soul, being his constitutional nature, that service is its own reward. Now, that's a very, very deep, profound realization, which unless we become properly purified, we will not be able to sufficiently appreciate. But a pure devotee is experiencing that. And because Prahlad is experiencing that joy of service, the bliss of always remembering the Lord and serving Him, Martavyam Sadatam Vishnum Vismrutavena Jatu. Because he's remembering so in such an absorbed way and he's experiencing such transcendental happiness in that absorption, he feels asking for anything material as a reward and then getting distracted by that is actually a distraction, it's a pain, it's a trap. I just want to continue serving without any expectation. And this understanding, this point is so core to our philosophy that if we miss this point or if we do not sufficiently understand and appreciate this point, we will not be able to make any substantial progress on this path. It's a profound point. It's not a mean or an insignificant achievement. It's a very significant achievement to have this one firm conviction. As Rupa Goswami defines strong faith like this, that this faith is strong faith. What faith? Huh? Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kohe Sudruda Nischay Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krata hai. Nothing else needs to be done. If I'm simply engaged in Krishna's service, all perfection is achieved. Nothing else. That is the bottom line. And there's nothing else, it's still okay. So the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj is expressing to the Lord, I don't want to reduce our relationship to a transactional one. Ours is an eternal relationship of master and servant. Let it remain like that. But at the same time, Prahlad Maharaj could see that the Lord was so excited to give this. It's not mentioned here like that. But sometimes devotee asks benedictions from the Lord because the Lord is so excited to give. The devotee wants to please the Lord by taking. Correct? Sometimes, we are put into situation, even in our transactional life, sometimes with our near and dear loved ones. We don't want them to necessarily give us a gift, but they are so eager to give us a gift. We say no, but they are so, no, I want to give, I want to give. Please accept it to make me happy. And then as a loving exchange, we accept what they will offer as a gift. Not so much because of the value that that thing has, but because of the love that is contained, because they wish to express their love. Rupa Goswami says that these are the 6 symptoms of loving exchanges. Dadati pratigrinnati guhyam akhyati prachati te bhujayate chaiva sharabhi priti lakshana upadesham. Rupa Goswami writes. Giving and accepting gifts. That Maharaj is seeing Narasimha is so eager. Narasimha, while he technically agreed with what Prahlad said, so Prahlad Maharaj himself, he says to Lord Narasimha, oh Lord, you are Varadaraj, you are the giver of all benedictions, you are the supreme king in giving benediction. If at all you are keen to bestow a good benediction on me, then I ask 2 things. One is, see, I have been born in the demoniac family, in an environment where everybody is passionate, materialistic desires. Please, bless me that my heart will always be free from all material desires. Because this is one thing which the devotee fears. Prabhupada, when he went to the West, Prabhupada, he was praying at one point. I think this was just before he left, praying to the deities. I don't remember which temple this and what exactly was the occasion, but anyway, I may wrongly state it. But he had tears in his eyes, and one disciple asked Prabhupada, or a devotee asked Prabhupada, what are you praying? What are you crying, Prabhupada? He said, I'm praying to Krishna that I may not fall down. I'm going to the West. Preach. I may not fall down. And Prabhupada says, not in that episode, but he has spoken elsewhere in his classes, that the greatest fear of the devotee is to become forgetful of Krishna. And that forgetfulness of Krishna, another name for forgetfulness of Krishna, is to have material desires in the heart, because it means the same thing. Bahirmukha. Material desires means Bahirmukha. Rather than looking at Krishna and serving Krishna, one consciousness diverted outside to be an enjoyer. So Prahlad Maharaj is very, very conscious. He's very conscious of that danger, and he's very conscious of the environment where he is in. Obviously, he's not surrounded by devotees. He's not in an ashram. He's not in an ISKCON temple. He's not in a congregation of devotees. He is in the capital of the demons, surrounded by demons. He's practically the only devotee there. His teachers are also demoniac, even though they are Brahmanas, Shukracharya and the children. And demoniac in the sense that they are opposed to Vishnu. So please, my Lord, I'm very worried. Because I also know Prahlad Maharaj said that unless one is able to give up all these materialistic desires, which are concoctions of the mind, you will not be able to attain your lotus feet. So, you really want to give me a blessing? This is the blessing. Because a person who has this blessing of always remembering your lotus feet, never forgetting your lotus feet, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu Vismartavya Najatachi. He, even without asking for anything, automatically, by virtue of exclusive devotion, inherits the kingdom of the spiritual world. He automatically achieves all opulences and transcendental qualities like yours. Because he attains to the spiritual world and he partakes your opulences. So, my Lord, in bracket is saying, even those who want to actually be rich and enjoy and be happy, they should be selfless in serving you. That is the only path. The path of extreme opulence is also the path of renunciation. So, Lord, O Bhagavan, who is full in all six opulences, O wonderful form of the Lord in the form of half man and half lion, I offer my respectful obeisances to you. And when he speaks like this, of course, he's going to ask for one more thing, but before that, Narasimhadev responds by hearing this. So, Prahlad, I know what is your nature. I know what is your quality. I know that a devotee of your caliber never desires any kind of material reward. You don't want any opulences this life or the next life. But I want you, now that your father is dead, I want you to become the king of this expansive kingdom and rule over and enjoy being the king of the Asuras. And I want you continue to serve in this way until the end of this Manvantara. Wow. He didn't ask, but the Lord told him, I want you to be king, and I want you to be a king as long as the Manvantara lasts. And Narasimhadev says, do not worry about your fear of material existence. Your fear is valid, but you don't need to be fearful. Why? Because for a person like you who's always absorbed in thinking of me, you are always transcendental even when you are in this world. So just like you are doing now, please continue to always hear and chant about me and speaking to others about me. If you remain absorbed in me like this, you will always remain closely connected with me because I am the super soul in the heart. So just like what you're doing now, without any material motivation, continue to render devotional service to me. In the same way, you will always remain protected. And for whatever time you will spend on the earth, This is my benediction of you ruling over the Danavas, the Asuras. Huh? Whatever is your leftover good karma, continue to enjoy it. You will eventually exhaust all your remaining good karma. Anyway, just exhaust it out by enjoying that position of a king. And whatever painful situations and reactions may be pending for you because of your past activity, whatever is your prarabdha of good and bad. Good, enjoy. For bad, just deal with kushalena, papena. Expertly deal with it. Huh? He doesn't even say that there will not even be any untoward situation in his life. The material world is unpleasant situation, deal with it elegantly, expertly. That's the expectation from a devotee, right? To deal expertly, elegantly with untoward situation and circumstances. Materialistic persons become overwhelmed, they become disoriented, they become bewildered, they become depressed and fall into lamentation. But you deal with it expertly in such a way through the process of devotional service that you will continue to tolerate them and remain fixed in your devotional service. Continue your life like that. In due course, by the influence of time factor, whatever is your prarabdha that is left, the good and impious reactions which are left for this lifetime, they will all get over. You will become famous as a great devotee all over the three worlds. Being free from all bondage and eventually becoming free from all the remnants of your karma, of your prarabdha that is left for this life. At the end of this life, you will return back home, back to God. Prahlad, that is my plan for you. Huh? Which means the Lord is saying, I'm not going to take you back home, back to God immediately. Continue to rule the world, practice your devotional service. Huh? Based on your whatever remaining karma, whatever good will come, accept it. Whatever bad will come, tolerate it and react to it in a devotional way. And eventually, you will come. This is also a very, very important instruction which is relevant to all of us. We should not expect just because we have become devotees that instantly all material reactions which are a product of this body, because this body comes with a prarabdha, will just suddenly disappear. Titikshasva bharata, tam titikshasva bharata. Krishna's advice to Arjuna, tolerate the dualities of heat and cold, fame and infamy, success and defeat. Then Narsingadev says, Prahlad, you are so great, Prahlad. Whoever remembers you and your activities and my activities in connection with you, which means the pastimes of Prahlad and Narasimha, and those who chant the prayers that you offered, previous chapter, they will also become free. What to speak of you not being entangled? Those who even remember you or utter your prayers, they also will become liberated from all reactions to material activities. That is your greatness. Prahlad Maharaj was very happy that he will remain protected. Huh? Because sometimes when the devotee is asked to perform a very difficult service and especially continue in his material interaction for a long time, the devotee is a bit concerned. What if I fall down? What if I get trapped? And there have been many occasions. Prevrat Maharaj, same thing. He wanted to renounce. He was asked by Swambhu, Manu, become a king, get married. So there are many such instances in the Bhagavad. And the prime concern of the devotee is, what if I get distracted? And all these times, either the Lord or the great Mahabhagavats console the devotee by saying, don't worry, you are, continue to remain steady in your devotional service and you will not be distracted. And if a circumstance does arrive that a devotee may get temporarily overwhelmed, the Lord or the devotees quickly come to the rescue and make sure he becomes reinstated in the proper position. So Prahlad Maharaj felt happy that the Lord had given this kind of a wonderful blessing. So Prahlad Maharaj says to Lord Narasimhadev, "Oh, thank you so much, my Lord. Huh? But I have one more thing I want to ask you. Not a material thing, it's not for myself. I want to ask you for something with respect to my father, because I'm feeling so much pain, yeah, about what my father was, and I'm a little bit concerned about his destination. Of course, I know he was touched by you. Even though you ripped him apart, your touch was there. So, in one sense, by your glance and by your touch, he's already purified. But I feel so sorry. He was out of ignorance, so angry at you. Yeah. Falsely, he was accusing you of being the killer of his brother. He was blaspheming you. He was blaspheming all the sadhus. He was creating so much pain and difficulty for all the devotees. So, even though he has been so nasty, yeah, I am still feeling some gratitude. He was my father, right? Did yeah, he has provided for me. He has taken care of me. He has expressed some affection for me. Yeah. So I wish that please, whatever sins and offenses he has committed, please excuse him for these sinful activities. Wow, what a thing to ask. Huh? The demon father who was continuously, repeatedly trying to kill Prahlad, normally would expect that that particular person would be excited. Oh, the person who's trying to kill me is finished. Yes, deserve that demon. What is Prahlad saying? Oh. Prahlad is overlooking all his mistakes and looking at the little good as a father that he had done for him. He's requesting the Lord, if you want to give me something, give me this. Excuse my father, huh, for all these sinful activities. That is why being connected to a devotee is such a great benediction. You understand? That even parents who are inimical to their children, if the children are great souls, they deliver the parents, huh, because their attitude towards their parents is like this. They'll think, okay, whatever they have done out of ignorance. But nonetheless, as parents, they have done so much for me. So, oh Lord, please deliver them. At least that's the consciousness we should have. So, this is how we can see what quality of devotee we are. We can ask ourselves, especially if we have been in a situation where our parents have been very inimical, we can reflect on our own consciousness. And Prahlad asked like this to Narasimhadev that please deliver my father from all these offenses. Narasimhadev, Prahlad, as if you know, what is it that you are asking for? So, oh Prahlad, oh pure one, you are so great, you are such a great devotee. Just by his association with you, your father has already been purified. You don't even have to ask for it. What to speak of your father? Oh Prahlad, 21 generations of your forefathers in your family have been delivered because you are born in that family. And then Narasimhadev says, whenever and wherever such great devotees like you are born, huh, those who are equipoised, well behaved, and decorated with all transcendental qualities, whichever family or dynasty they are born, huh, even if the dynasties are condemned, they become purified and glorified because of the birth of a great soul. So Very interesting. 21 generations will be delivered. And we discussed about this, I think, the last couple of classes. I think there was some question asked. So the verse, so one way to understand 21 generations is 10 generations earlier, 10 generations later, and the current generation. That's one way to understand. But very interestingly, Narsingadev, when he says that, the verse doesn't use the word 21. The verse says 3 into 7 times. What is 3 into 7? 21 only, right? But he doesn't say 21. Is it? Is it that Lord Narsingadev like to, didn't know the number 21, and he said 3 into 7? Why the Lord said 3 into 7 times generations are liberated? So some acharyas have commented on this. Very interesting. Prabhupada hints in the purport. Also, it doesn't explain in detail, but I believe some acharyas have explained, and I've heard this. I don't recollect in which commentary, but I thought I'll just share. It's a very interesting comment. The 3 times 7 is 7 generations for 3 lives. Either you can look at this 21 generations for this life, or 7 generations for 3 lives. What does that mean? 7 generations means 3 up, 3 down, and current. Correct? 7. Like that, 7 generations of this life, 7 generations of the immediate previous life, 7 generations of the next life. Very interesting. So the 3 into 3 is sometimes interpreted as across 3 lifetimes. So that's why the power of purification of great souls is not even just limited to that lifetime, but they also have a significant effect on their previous appearance and their previous generations, up and down. Can you imagine what kind of purification that will create? Let me try to see if I can find what Prabhupada says specifically in the purport, but he just hints very briefly. Yeah. 3 Saptabi means 7 multiplied by 3. And he says, I'm not reading the whole purport, but since the Lord mentions 21 forefather, this indicates that the benedictions expands to other families also. Before the present family in which one has taken birth, one must have been born in other families. Thus, when a Vaishnav takes birth in a family, by the grace of the Lord, he purifies not only that family, but also the families of his previous births. Wow. Far out, right? So, so the Lord doesn't use words simply just to make it poetic, but when the Lord uses words like this, he means something. And then it is Prahlad, my dear Prahlad. And he says, you are now the king of the, he refers to him as the king of the Daityas, because now Prahlad is not just a 5-year-old boy. Hiranyakashipu is dead. Prahlad is the king. He has just asked him to become king. O king of the Daityas. Do not worry. You will always be situated in transcendental perfection because you are attached to my devotional service. You know, my devotee, because he's transcendental. He never distinguishes. He sees everyone with equanimity. He's never jealous of any living entity. And you are so great. What to speak of your falling down? Anyone who follows your example, you are the benchmark of pure devotion, Prahlad. Whoever follows your example will themselves be pure devotee. You are the topmost example of a pure devotee. And it is my expectation that other living entities and sadhakas follow you as the role model for becoming a pure devotee. So don't be so worried about your father. I have already purified him just by my touch at the time of his death. But nonetheless, to set the right example. It is your duty to perform the final rites for your father, do the Antim Samskar, do the rituals, do the Tarpan, whatever rituals have to be done, do that. Whatever are typically done by the son to deliver the father and ensure that the father is purified from any dangerous situation and goes to heavenly planet. Whatever rituals are needed to be done, you do, just to set the right example. After you have completed all the Shraddha Tarpan rituals for your father, then you take over the charge of this kingdom. I want you to sit on this throne because Narsingadev is sitting on the throne at that time, right? He throws, after he tears Hiranyakashipu and throws him away, he goes and sits on the throne. I want you to sit on this throne. I am handing it over to you. I took it from your father, I am giving it to you. Sit upon this throne and don't be disturbed by any materialistic activities. Like I said, continue to keep your mind fixed on me. And even though you are a pure devotee, do not transgress any of the instructions of the Vedas. Continue to follow the Vedic rules and regulations according to the Varnashram, just to set the right example for all people. And this is the Lord's expectation from everyone. Sometimes, devotees foolishly think, but like us who are sadhakas, very neophyte, but we think, oh, I'm such a great devotee. Oh, this rules and regulations and duties don't apply to me. We'll quote some, verse from the scripture that, oh, a devotee is transcendental. Yes, the verse is right, but that applies only to a pure devotee. And even though that verse is true for a pure devotee, that a pure devotee is beyond all duty, Krishna's instruction in the Gita and the Bhagavad and Lord Nrsingadev's instruction here specifically is, even though a pure devotee is beyond duty, he still follows duty diligently to set the right example for us. Doesn't act whimsically. Very important. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita, I think in the 4th chapter, if I'm not wrong. Tells Arjuna, even though liberated soul has no duty, he still performs his duty to set the right example. And Krishna says, I also do that. I have no duty in this world. Who can tell me? But when I appear, I also follow the system that I have set because I don't want to set a wrong example for others. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord gives the example of Janak Maharaj. So Janaka, the father of Sita Devi, such a great soul. He's a fully realized Paramhamsa. He doesn't need to do a duty, but because he's sitting on a throne and performing the function of a king, he diligently follows all duties with full detachment, just to set the right example for others. So do that. Become a king, follow the system properly in a detached way, just to set an example for others, even though you don't particularly need to perform any material. Wonderful, wonderful instruction. At this particular point in the chapter, Narad Muni starts telling Yudhishthir that being instructed like this by Narasimhadev, Prahlad, he followed those instructions, he performed all the rituals for his father, and then Prahlad was personally instated as the king, the help of the Brahmanas. Actually, Lord Brahma was there, the Devatas were there. They blessed Prahlad. It is said Lord Brahma surrounded by all the Devatas. Brahma was very, very happy the way the whole thing had panned out. Because Lord Brahma was actually feeling so terrible. Why he was feeling terrible? He was feeling terrible that he had given benediction to Hiranyakashipu and that had caused so much chaos for such a long time in the whole universe. So he was so happy that finally Prahlad became the agent of the destruction of Hiranyakashipu. Finally, good riddance, the episode is over. And he was also so happy with the transcendental character of Prahlad Maharaj. So Brahmaji spoke to Lord Narsingha after Prahlad Maharaj's prayer. He spoke to Lord Narsingha. He said, oh Lord, O Adi Purush, O Supreme Person, Finally, because of our good fortune, you have killed this sinful Hiranyakashipu. It's troubling everyone. Huh? This Hiranyakashipu, he had received that benediction, in bracket, from me, that he couldn't be killed by anyone. And because of the strength of that benediction and basis his all mystic powers and other powers that he was blessed with, he was so proud that he would just violate all Vedic injunctions. He was just troubling everyone. And then finally he troubled Prahlad, his son, so much. He was trying to kill him. And now you intervened, O Lord. So thankfully you intervened and you saved this Prahlad. Prahlad, he looks like an ordinary boy, but he's such an exalted devotee. Huh? You have given him full shelter and protection at your lotus feet. You are so wonderful, my Lord. Huh? You are so great. Anyone who meditates on your lotus feet, on your transcendental body, he becomes fearless. Abhaya. Hmm? Even in the face of the greatest danger, huh? Including the imminent danger of death. Of course, Brahmaji was offering these wonderful prayers to Lord Narasimhadev in great excitement. Huh? But Narasimhadev looked at Brahmaji and wasn't too pleased. Because he was kind of saying, sorry, who created the situation after all? Who created the situation that Hiranyakashipu could create so much trouble? And the Lord, pretty, it seems almost sternly, he said, my dear Lord Brahma, oh, you who have been born from the lotus flower, you should know, just like it is very dangerous to feed milk to a snake because it will just increase his poison, to not give these kind of benedictions to the demons. The demons are by nature very ferocious and envious. They are always wanting to hurt others. I want that henceforth you will not give any such benedictions to any demon again. Ramaji, yes, 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 my lord, yes, sorry, sorry, yeah. No more, no more. Just see, I mean, it's all, not almost, it is a public chastisement of Brahmaji in front of, the whole universe. Brahmaji is you know, huh, the the grandfather of all living entities. He is elder to everyone else in the universe. And this 5-year-old boy, the Lord is glorifying and chastising Prahlad. Huh? But Prahlad Brahmaji was still being a very great Mahabhagavat, very, very humble. He didn't defend himself. Yes, my Lord. Mistake has been done. Point noted. Henceforth, I'll be careful that I do not get carried away. That because of these benedictions, uh, more trouble will be created for others. So in that way, Brahmaji was warned, and then Brahmaji, after receiving that instruction, Brahmaji worshipped Lord Narasimha. That said, after being worshipped by Lord Narasimha, uh, Lord Narasimha, by Brahmaji, after he worshipped Lord Narasimha disappeared. After Lord Narasimha disappeared, Prahlad Maharaj immediately turned his face towards the great personalities who had assembled there. Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, the Prajapatis and others. He started offering them respects. He started worshipping them and offering them prayers and honoring them. That is the proper way. He didn't think of himself as the hero. Yes. Everyone, even Brahma was chastised. I was glorified. So man felt himself so insignificant. He worshipped Brahma, Shiva, the Prajapatis. He understood them as part and parcels of the Lord, the vibhutis of the Lord, and worshipped them. Then it is said Shukracharya, who was the Daitya Guru, along with other Brahmanas and Lord Brahma, they anointed Prahlad as the king of all the asuras. So after being appointed as the king, and then Prahlad worshipped all the devatas properly and offered them proper respects. After that, all the devatas, they said, including Lord Brahma, returned their respective abodes. So, Narad Muni at this point, as this pastime has concluded, he's summarizing to Yudhishthir Maharaj. Because if you remember this whole conversation between Yudhishthir and Prahlad Maharaj, sorry, Yudhishthir and Narad Muni, began. Anyone remembers how that whole conversation began? Anyone? What was the incident which triggered this conversation?
It was some yagna which is going into the where they have shifted. I forgot the name, and it's a yagna which was being planned, and that's where the Narad Muni also came, and then he was sharing that information.
Yeah, but why
Ashwamedh
did?
yagna.
Yeah, but what was the trigger for sharing this information? What was the context? Yajna is okay. Yajna was the episode. Ashwamedha, that's also correct. Uh, Not Ashwamedha, it was Rajasuya. But what was the trigger? The trigger was the killing of Shishupal and the merging of Shishupal's soul into the body of Krishna. Remember?
Ah, yeah, correct.
Yes. Okay. And everyone is surprised and Yudhishthira is asking Narmani, Are ye kya? It's the number one demon. How did he achieve that which is so difficult for great souls also to achieve? And then that whole pastime narration of the previous lives of Shishupal, and then the pastimes of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, and so on were narrated. So, wrapping up that whole conversation, Narad Muni is telling now to Yudhishthir Maharaj, in this way, these two associates, Jaya and Vijay of the Lord who were in Vaikuntha, they became Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, the sons of Diti, and they were both killed in this way by Varahadev and Narsingadev respectively. Because of being deluded by the Lord's Maya, they thought of themselves as supreme and challenged the Lord, taking on the position of the Lord's enemy. But for the display of wonderful Leela, the Lord performed the pastime of killing them. Again, these two Jay and Vijay, who were Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakachu, became reborn as Kumbhakarna and Ravana. And in that life, they were killed by the extraordinary power of Lord Rama. That life also, they left their body fully remembering the Lord, just like they had left their bodies remembering the Lord in the previous life as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Again, they took birth, these two, in the family of humans as Shishupala and Dantavakra. And even in that life, which is this life you're seeing now, right? Shishupal was just killed. The same person. The same person who had become Hiranyakashipu is the same person who had become Ravan, is the same person who has become Shishupal. Even in this life, as Shishupal and Dantavakra, they continued their inimical attitude towards the Lord. And that was the result of that particular curse that they had received from the four Kumaras. I told all that story to you. And it is that Shishupal whose soul has now merged into the Lord. Because that was the benediction that either 7 lifetimes as a devotee or 3 lifetimes as a demon. They chose the 3 lifetimes because they wanted to come back to the spiritual world sooner. Now they have got the opportunity to merge into the form of the Lord. And oh, Yudhishthira Maharaj, please understand, this kind of a benediction is not just available to Shishupal and Dantavakra, but so many kings who have been personally killed by the Supreme Lord. They also, at the time of their death, achieved this kind of liberation. Because they thought of the Lord at the time of death, Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram haprayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samshaya. He who remembers me at the time of death without doubt attains my transcendental nature. They receive spiritual bodies. They receive a form in Vaikuntha just like mine. Just as worms who are captured by a black drone It is said when a black drone, huh, flying insect, a black drone, he captures a worm. He said the worm is so scared and afraid that it's going to be killed, that the worm is fully absorbed in the thoughts of the black drone as the black drone is eating him up and killing him. The Shastras say because of that full absorption and meditation on the black drone at the time of death for the worm, in the next life, the worm becomes a black drone. Similarly, Narad Muni is giving the example. The demon who's killed by the Lord because he's absorbed in thinking of the Lord at the time of death, he attains a transcendental form equivalent in nature to the Lord by attaining the spiritual self. So if demons achieve this, shouldn't devotees be absorbed? So much easier for the devotees to absorb. That is why by devotional service, pure devotees should incessantly think about the Lord. And they do so, and they also attain a transcendental form, a body like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is known as Sarupya Mukti. They achieve a form like the Lord in the spiritual. So devotees also achieve that, demons also achieve, if they are properly absorbed in thinking of the Lord. Of course, demons, it is said, generally they attain Sayujya Mukti. Sayujya means they attain impersonal liberation. But there are certain demons, they had a little devotion towards the Lord, but they became demons because of circumstances. Those demons, because of the little devotion, they attain Sarupya Mukti. They get a form, a transcendental form in the spiritual world, where the Lord, after purifying them, gives them an opportunity to serve Him in the spiritual world, pretty much like fully absorbed devotees. Narad Muni concludes his narration by saying, everything you asked me about Shishupal and about his merging into the Lord's body, I have already explained to you how it happened, why it happened. So this is a very, very wonderful pastime for Yudhishthir because it is concerned with the Lord and his incarnations and how he killed these various demons. This narration that I've explained to you, Yudhishthir, is very, very purifying. It is especially purifying because the character of great pure devotees like Prahlad is explained. His staunch devotional service is explained. His detachment is explained. His perfect transcendental knowledge is explained. Also, in this pastime, they discussed about the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord, how he creates, maintains, and destroys this material universe. Prahlad Maharaj explained all of these things in his prayers. And we also discussed and described how this whole material cosmos is created and how there are various abodes of the demons and the devatas. And how all these things are fully under the control of the Supreme Lord, under whose will these things are manifest, they are destroyed. So these principles that I have taught you, O Yudhishthira Maharaj, through this pastime, these are actually the principles of Bhagavad Dharma, which are concerned with developing pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these Bhagavad principles are transcendental and beyond material nature. Anyone who hears and chants this narration that I have described to you about the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is liberated from material bondage without fail, guaranteed. Prahlad was such a great devotee. Anyone who hears with great attention this narration of the activities of Prahlad, how Hiranyakashipu was killed and how Narsingadev appeared and performed various transcendental pastimes, surely such a person will reach the spiritual world which is beyond all material anxieties. So, I'm going to stop here. Narad Muni continues to speak a few more things. but I will take it up in the next class, because what he is about to speak next is a prelude into his narration of the pastimes of Tripurari. And he also glorifies very wonderfully the transcendental position of the Pandavas very nicely, which also we will discuss a little bit in detail. I don't want to hurry through that section. So we have discussed roughly 47 verses from this chapter. This chapter is not very long, not many verses are left, but 69, so another 22 verses left. But I think it is best if we discuss remaining verses elaborately the next time. That will be nice. So we don't have to rush through it. So thank you for patiently listening. I'm opening up the floor. If there is any questions or comments, you can take up. Yeah, Tarun Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
So, Prabhuji, I have a two question in context. So, the first question is about Mahakumbha. So, what is the benefit as per the scripture of Mahakumbha that devotee can gain? Number two, for the departed parents or the souls, how can we help them benefit whom even cannot visit Mahakumbha?
Sorry, for departed.
For departed souls from this world, means our parents or the other ancestors, how can we help them to give any kind of benefit of Mahakumbha, though we can visit or unable to visit in the
Your
yatras?
voice is really, really breaking.
Let me just change it.
Yeah, I cannot make out how we can help them. I could understand, but beyond that, I couldn't get what you're saying. No, I can't hear you. Okay, anyway, I'll start answering with the first question. Maybe then you can later mention the second one. Or if I understand, basically you're saying how you can help departed parents, right?
Yeah, even we are able to visit or unable to in any case.
Okay, I still couldn't hear. But anyway, let me see if I can address that. So first thing is Mahakumbh. Yeah. So places like there are many tirthas in this world. So Mahakumbha, of course, is a very special occasion at Prayag, where special potency, which has the potency to purify sins and deliver a living entity, is manifest there in Prayag at that place. Of course, Prayag is always uh, the king of tirthas, but at the time of Kumbha, the potency of the place becomes even more. So it has a very powerful potency because of certain uh, planetary and nakshatra combinations, which allows bathing at that particular place to have a very purifying effect on the living entity who bathes there, especially to remove sins and help him move ahead towards liberation. So it's wonderful for those who can. But at the same time, we should understand that for those who are devotees of the Supreme Lord, and especially those who are on the path of Raj Bhakti, uh, uh, the tirthas of Vraja uh, stand higher than the tirthas like Prayag. Uh, Prayag is a tirtha for everyone, all Hindus, all the whole Sanatan. Uh, uh, but Prayag, uh, there's a beautiful pastime. At one time, I'll briefly narrate. Uh, Nanda Maharaj, who stays in Nandagaon, at one time he said he heard the glories of Prayag and bathing in Triveni Sangam from the scriptures. He got very excited. And he said, I'm going to Prayag to take bath. So he set out. Uh, and Krishna wasn't happy. He said, you are already in Braj, why you are going to Prayag? So as he was going, he practiced things, no, let's go, it is so special and I must get. So as he was walking, he saw a very huge, powerful, divine-like looking personality, but black colored, passing next to him. So he was going towards Prayag. This personality was coming in the opposite direction. He came there, and at the bottom of Nandagaon, there is a lake known as Pawan Sarovar. This personality came there. He took a dip in Pawan Sarovar, And he came out, all the black color on his body disappeared. He became very effulgent, started looking like a devata. And Nanda Maharaj saw this, he was shocked and surprised. Who's this? And he was a very powerful, huge personality. You could understand this is some divine person, he is not an ordinary person. So Nanda Maharaj approached him and asked him, Sir, can you please introduce yourself? Haven't seen you around here. Who are you? What is your business here? By the way, I am Nanda. I'm on my way to Prayag. Take bath there. This personality introduces himself. Says, I am Prayagraj. I'm the personified deity of Prayag. And he says that, so many people come there and deposit their sins in my tirtha. That I become so dirty. So I need to purify myself. So I also need a place where I can go. So I come here to Pavan Sarovar in Vraj to purify myself. This is my tirtha. So, so Nanda Maharaj, when he saw that, I was going to you. I was going to, your place, and you are here, where, this water body next to my house. So immediately, Nanda Maharaj cancelled his Triveni Sangam bathing trip. And he came back home, much to the happiness of Krishna. So while we respect all tirthas and Prayagraj is the greatest of tirthas, the Mahima of Braj is at a different level. So while we respect and if we can, we should go and take bath in all these wonderful holy tirthas, and we don't judge, see negatively. Of course, we want everybody's blessings. But for us, Braja is our topmost holy place. Places like Radha Kund, Sham Kund, Krishna has invoked all the holy places, including Prayag. Plus, he has deposited his own prem there. So, what can be a greater benefit than Sham Kund, Radha Kund, Pavan Sarovar, and all these holy places? So, while all these places are wonderful, devotees who are in touch with Vrindavan Dham through the parampara do not have to feel that they are missing anything. If circumstantially they are not able to go and take a dip in Triveni. So actually, Prayagraj was very kind to me. I was praying, I think, maybe in my heart I was thinking, so much trouble. Prayagraj says, come here next door, I'm here only. I just sprinkle some water and, bath done. So Prayagraj was very kind to me. So, if we can, we do. And see, more than any other thing, for us as devotees, Kumbh Mela is one festival which actually unites all Sanatanis. This is another important principle to that. Most paramparas have their own holy places, they have their own deities. But this is one event which is common to all panthas and all types of Hindus. To Vaishnavas, to Shaktas, to Shaivais, to Advaitins, to Brahmavadis, to the Naga Sadhus, to the Karmis, to the Gyanis, to the Yogis, everyone. So that Sangam also creates a wonderful opportunity for Sadhu Sangam. So one can look at it from different perspectives. Of course, for us, the highest Sadhu Sangha is the Sadhu Sangha of the Bhagavatas. So if you already have that, we don't need to go anywhere else. We have Prabhupada's books, we have so many sadhus around us. But if there's an opportunity to also associate with other great souls and receive their blessing, Tirthe Karvanti Tirthani Santastena Gadabrata. The Bhagavatam also says that the main purpose of going to Tirtha is not just to take a bath. It is to associate with the holy souls who are there, because the bathing in the association of great souls is greater value than simply taking a bath without any knowledge or transcendental knowledge. Bathing in tirthas purifies slowly, but bathing in the nectar of Bhagavad Katha, in the association of those who are empowered to disseminate it, is a greater bath than simply taking a ritualistic bath. And this is the verdict of Bhagavad. I'm not giving my own opinion. Right? Okay. So I'm just saying in brief. So if possible, it's wonderful. And if it is not possible, one can, through meditation, take a bath there. Or if somebody has brought water from there, one can sprinkle. You can do. But it is not that your life is unsuccessful because you couldn't bathe in Kumbh Mela, in Sangam. Not like that. Okay.
So we took the Vedic part today as well, Prabhuji, then.
Sorry?
So we took the Vaishnav bath today as well in the class, just like the
Yeah.
Satsanga.
Much more valuable. The benediction, that the benefit, I can assure you that for those who have heard what we discussed today with faith and with humility, I can write and give you the benefit you have got is much more than those who without knowledge have bathed in Triveni Sangam. Guaranteed. Because Triveni Sangam bathing, with no disrespect, no matter how many times you do, will not give you devotion to Krishna by itself, unless you do it as a devotional service. That's a different thing. But that activity by itself will not grant you devotion. Okay. Yeah, your second question, yeah, I think it was already kind of answered, and we have discussed this multiple times. By our being good devotees, we can deliver our parents, and the same instructions which Narsingadev gave to Prahlad for our ancestors, our deceased forefathers, we should perform the proper Shraddha, Pinda rituals. Should not get overexcited and think I'm so transcendental. I don't need. If if Narsingadev is asking Prahlad to do it, obviously we are not at a higher level. So let's not get ahead of ourselves and think, I am beyond all ritual. So yes, technically it may be true for pure devotees that they are beyond, but let's not ascribe that kind of a qualification to ourselves. And even if we had that qualification, even for argument's sake, we should still do it. That is the expectation. So do that, and especially in the rituals that we do for our forefathers, in us, for Vaishnavas, we offer Vishnu Prasad to the ancestors. In that way, we deliver them. So even the pinda that is offered to Vishnu, and then it is offered. So if we do with proper devotion by offering it to Vishnu, then the forefathers also will be immensely benefited. So Shraddha must be performed with Shraddha. Devotion to Vishnu and having faith in the potency of Vishnu Prasad's ability to deliver our ancestors. But ultimately, by performing sincere devotional service, we can deliver our ancestors. Yeah, is that okay?
Yes. Thanks.
So just continue. All of you do not have to worry. Just the best blessings we can bring on everyone connected to us by being a pure devotee. Okay. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta. Another thing, yeah. So yeah, sorry, Sudhindra Prabhu, you want to say something?
No, nothing. Sorry.
Okay. So next class will be on Tuesday. So I'm heading to Malaysia on Tuesday, hopefully. So the next class I'll do from Kuala Lumpur, Krishna Willing. Hopefully I should be able to do. I'll be reaching there morning. So fingers crossed. Hopefully. Sorry. Yeah, Chandrika just corrected me. We are flying on Tuesday. So sorry, Tuesday class we'll not able to have. My bad. So we will skip Tuesday. We will continue on Saturday. Then we'll resume our Tuesday class the following week. Is that okay? Yeah. Thank you. Haribol. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare,
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Thank
Thank
you,
you so much,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Dandavat
Dhanwad.
pranam.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Dhanwad pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Anand Sundari Mataji, Sri Devi Mataji. Sridevi ji. Yesterday, Sridevi ji and Tarun Prabhu joined a Hindi class.
Wonderful, Prabhuji. That was very good.
It was really wonderful, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for forwarding it, Prabhu.
We will try to join every Friday.
Yeah. But of course, so whenever I'll give in Hindi, I will let you know. I'll be giving once in maybe a month or more. Whenever that happens, I'll let you. Yeah. So thank you, Indulekha Mataji. Thank you, Bhaskar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Archana ji, Leela Mataji. Thank you all.